You're listening to The Support Report with Be Present, where we share real stories from young adults and how support changed their lives.
Hey, thanks for tuning into another episode of The Support Report. We are Be Present. I'm your host, Justin Peters, joined by always my co-host, Chiara Riga. Chiara, how are you?
I'm pretty good today. How about you, Justin?
I'm doing fabulous, and I love seeing you in this new place. You excited about the move, the transition, the things?
Yeah, so we've been here a couple of months now. The first few months were rough, just getting everything set up. Both of us didn't have the stuff for this big of a place, which is a good problem to have, but it took a while to get everything set up. But now I could not be happier here.
Nice. Did you go ahead and buy some additional furniture, some wall art, things like that?
Yeah, we kind of went in together on some stuff. Most of the wall stuff we both had a lot of, so that all kind of got combined. But furniture, we got like a brand new couch, a brand new bed. We're in a king now. David's old place was a
Nice.
double. I did my time in that. I am ready to be in this king bed.
Dang.
So
So that sounds like that was your favorite purchase, maybe out of the whole refurnishing the house.
probably highly recommend the Costco Casper mattress. It is very cheap and very comfy.
Well, you'll see me in a new place next time we chat. We actually move tomorrow, crazy enough. So that should be fun. I'm stoked. My girlfriend already has she kind of bought a lot of the things before we did the move, but it's totally fine because we're literally moving next door. We have this fun hippie couple that lives next door. They decided, you know what, we're gonna go to the Caribbeans. We might do Spain. We might do all of the things. So we caught wind that they were moving and looking to rent their place, and we were looking for something a little bit bigger. We're in a 1 story right now. They got a 2 story over there. So we went ahead and signed a lease with them, and this has got to be the shortest and hopefully least time constraints in terms of move. I'm just going to be carrying things from this house right next door tomorrow.
That's huge because I feel like half the struggle is all right, who's going to deal with the moving van and who wants to drive this thing? And oh, can we do it with a borrowed pickup truck? You don't have any of that.
Yeah. I don't have any of that whatsoever, which is great. Which is great. So, all right, let's enter the topic, the guests today. I know you're excited about this one, although we've had a couple of banger guests on the last few episodes that you've been stoked about, but here we go. We got another one. You want to give the brief intro?
Yeah, absolutely. So joining us today is Elissa Kalver. Elissa is a cancer thriver. She was diagnosed in 2021 at age 34 with metastatic breast cancer. Elissa is also the founder and CEO of We Got This, the very first nonprofit gift registry for cancer patients. I have heard so much about this organization through the cancer community, so could not have been more excited that Elissa was willing to join us. Elissa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your cancer story?
Sure. Yeah. Well, so about 2.5 years ago, I got my official diagnosis that I had breast cancer. And it really came out of nowhere. It was right before my daughter's first birthday. And I found out quickly that that cancer had spread throughout my body. And I had stage 4 breast cancer at 34, which was obviously very shocking. And when it happened, everyone, luckily, I had an amazing community of family and friends who reached out of how they could help. And I had no idea how they could help. And I didn't want to ask for help. So I didn't feel comfortable doing a GoFundMe. I, meal train, which we did end up doing, and people did Grubhub cards, which we appreciate so much. But, I didn't even know what I could taste or stomach during cancer, which was, very relevant once I got into it. And I thought about when I had my daughter, the year before, or when I got married, it was so easy to ask for help with gift registries. We've normalized that so much for the good times. And we've made the hard times, I think, feel a lot more like charitable or feeling bad for someone. And it just felt like this gap was missing. So I had that feeling going into chemo, and I essentially responded to the text messages of what can I do? How can I help? I had a note pre-written on my phone I would copy in and customize. And it would say something like, just you reaching out means the world to me. Thank you so much. I don't need anything, like really appreciate it. And because I didn't tell people what I needed, but everyone still wanted to help, which again, so grateful for, I ended up with a lot of blankets. That was just the thing that everyone decided to send me. I feel like
Random.
a lot of cancer people have like their thing, like whether it was coloring books or stuffed animals or slippers. Mine was blankets. And I love a good blanket. I just didn't need like 40 of them. So I thought, like, there must be an easier way to ask for what we want and find out what we really need. So it was my fifth round of chemo, my like initial chemo treatments, where I just wasn't feeling well, and I felt like I needed to do something more than just going through chemo at that time. And I started kind of thinking of some ideas to start something that would help other people. And that immediately popped into my head. What was my biggest problem? And I think it was asking for help. So called up some friends, and long story short, it went from being like a small local startup. I was thinking maybe just for breast cancer, how can I help everyone with cancer, to becoming this, national, maybe someday global tech nonprofit startup. And now, we've kind of created the baby list of cancer, and I'm really proud of it, and excited that, even to hear, Chiara, that you've heard of it is just like makes me really proud. And it's awesome that it's been hopefully helping people out already.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's when I was first diagnosed, I remember going, oh my God, whenever any big life event happens, everyone has a registry. Why can't we do this for other big life events that are like, quote, negative in some people's eyes? And like, I wanted a registry so bad. So I think this is incredible. I would love to talk a little bit about like what the reception has been for people who have registries with We Got This. I know a lot of the times it's like really hard to ask for what you want. And even like I'm getting married and I've been working on our registry, and it feels icky to be asking for things, you know? And so I wonder too, because cancer registries are not yet a normalized thing, I hope that they will be.
Yeah.
Is do people get a good response from this? Like I'm curious kind of how that goes for patients.
Sure. Yeah. I think one of the big differentiators, and I don't know, as far as I know, we're the only nonprofit gift registry for cancer patients that has ever existed. I know that there have been for-profit versions of this where they might have had like their own inventory that they mark up or other things. And to me, that felt very predatory. Like you're basically you're profiting off of cancer patients. So that was why from the very beginning, I felt that this idea had to be a nonprofit and it had to exist. And when doing it, it was really important to me that the registry itself, you could pull things from anywhere. So we haven't found a website that doesn't work with it. You can register for literally anything. Like you could even register for donations for your favorite nonprofit, or, you know, customize stuff off Etsy. You can register for gift cards, or you can still put, donations like how it would be on a GoFundMe, or in your scenario, like a honey fund or something like that. So I'd say because of that reason, the reception to it has been more comfortable, because people can ease in and decide what piece makes them feel okay. Because most people are comfortable that I've talked to of like having a meal train. Because the advice I was given when I was diagnosed was people want to help. And my friend was like, you're going to say no because you're not going to want people to give you anything. You're not going to ask for anything, but try to come up with a list of things, or like find a way to be comfortable saying yes, because it's going to help those people too. And I get that from being on the outside. Like so much of this is around the supporter and the caregiver too. And even as someone with cancer, unfortunately, I have so many other people that I love and care about that I want to help. And I have no idea what to give them either. People always call me asking, what should I get my friend doing this or that? And I don't know. Like, I've never had a double mastectomy. So I don't, those are things I'm still learning about. I don't have leukemia or lymphoma, or, also just taste. Like some people might want to go to a concert before they start chemo, or on vacation. Like you should register for that. I think whatever it is that's going to make life comfortable. So the reception to the registry has been overwhelmingly positive, which honestly is such a relief to me, because when you come up with an idea like this, you're like, well, does it not exist because people don't want to do it? Why doesn't it exist? I think it doesn't exist because it's really a lot of work, a lot of money to make it happen. And I don't think anyone wanted to do it as a nonprofit, if I'm being honest. I think that's why it existed before trying to be profitable. But we recently did a collab with Oh You're So Tough, if you know Chelsea Gomez.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a big fan of everything she's done since, I first was diagnosed. And so I had reached out to her and we became friends through Instagram. And we did a sticker giveaway. She designed this awesome "Cancer Sucks, but together we got this."
That's cool.
I love that.
Yeah, love it. And she had done a different collateral card for us too, because we work a lot with Children's Hospital LA, and also just connecting with people in a different way. And it felt like the cancer community knows her style so much that it is like such a great way to explain this. And so we did a collaborative post about the sticker, and that all people had to do was just like both of our pages and fill out a Google form. And so we did it, and we were like excited, but we were also a little nervous. Like, what, I don't know, what if people didn't perceive it well? And it was just, we had over 400 people fill out the Google form to get the sticker. And all the comments were just so validating of how I felt as a cancer patient, and to know that other people felt that way, whether it was something they wish they had, something they could sign up for right now, or refer to a friend. That was really, and this was just like last month, but that was really a big turning point for me, where I'd spent the past 2 years, just grinding it out, raising money to make this happen as quickly as possible. So to hear other, fellow thrivers and survivors and patients saying that they thought it was a good idea too, made me feel excited that, like, okay, we'll keep going.
So how would your note, your script, that copy paste note that you have, how would that change now that you have the registry available? Is it as simple as probably the same thing? I don't need anything, just you reaching out. I appreciate, but if you do want to support me, here's a link, or, if you do want to get me something, here's some things that are on my wish list.
Totally. I think to Chiara's point, it's like you can still have that comfort of how you might have normally responded, but you're giving people an outlet to also help you. And like I said, people want to help you. And I think that anyone can relate to that, because I feel that way. Like I said, I'm sure all of us can relate to having people we care about with cancer. And I don't know if what I would need is what they would want too. And if there was a list, just like when they're pregnant or getting married or these other happy times, I mean, I would be thrilled to buy something off of that I also can know that they use. I also think it creates this education around cancer symptoms and what a patient might need. Like, my mother-in-law is 10 years in remission from stage 4 lymphoma, which is amazing. And when she was going through chemo originally, I mean, we've been talked all the time, but like, I didn't know about the symptoms until now, because now that I'm going through stuff, we joke about it and talk about all the things. I'm like, oh my God, I never knew you experienced this, but I also never would have known to ask.
Yeah.
So it's one, you might be uncomfortable to ask, but also you wouldn't even know where to start. So we've really been trying to focus on giving more recommendations. The past 2 years was really spent, I initially did a GoFundMe for this idea. We raised over $100,000 in it. And through just tons of fundraisers and events, traveling all over, we've raised about $500,000 over the past 2 years. And I've worked completely voluntarily for free so that everything can go towards the technology and everything we need to do towards the site. We've done some side projects as well. We've pledged $30,000 over the next 2 years to fund young adult research for the Caregivers Research program at Mass General Hospital. We've funded joy boxes, like things that, we think would make patients happy, at Children's Hospital LA for kids who are donating bone marrow to their siblings with cancer. So we've really been trying to expand the we. It's really big for me that, I'm the one with cancer, so people usually ask about me. But I mean, my husband goes through this just as much as I do. And my 3.5-year-old doesn't know she's going through it, but she is, and I think that opening that door is like, the bigger picture of all of this. Like, it's more than just giving gifts. That opens up this community to everyone. Like, it's really a site for everyone, because I don't know anyone that doesn't know someone with cancer. So being able to just send a link and easily tell people what you need, and then them seeing what you need, is probably really educational. Like, I posted recently, I've been doing this series on our Instagram called We Got Rex. And I get a lot of nosebleeds from chemo. And so a friend sent me as a joke nampons that are nose tampons. And I'm like, because I normally just shove a tissue up my nose. And there's like a lot of science behind it. It's actually really beneficial. It's comfortable. It's clean. Like, it really made a big difference. So posting about that not only gave people an idea, but it also educated people that, oh, that can be a symptom of chemo.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I appreciate that. I mean, cancer aside, gift giving, I like to give people things that they're actually going to use and they actually want. And you really just don't know. Like, once again, the Bomba story for you would have been something I would have never been able to figure out. But I like that. And didn't they end up like becoming a partner or like a collaborator with you too?
Yeah, so Bombas was one of our first partners. We actually structured the way we created the site around some of the advice that they gave us. Well, gave me. It was really just me at the time. um, so I was a big fan of Bombas. I actually went to college, not at the same time, but with the founders of Bombas. And so that's how I got connected. And when I got a meeting with one of them, I explained my situation and how the fact that there were no seams in the toes really helped me, because I would get a lot of toe and cuticle infections. And they just, I mean, no more questions were needed. Like, they were on board from the beginning. And I was trying to do the website in a much less expensive way with like a drop ship model and some other ideas. And they were like, if you're going to work with brands like ours at that scale, you're like, they gave me a lot of advice at how it needed to be tailored. And it helped a lot. I think it saved us a lot of time and money long term, because from day one, we like started with Bombas as the first partner. And then the next one actually was Crocs. So Crocs was another one that came on board quickly. And this was, I think, before we even had like our 501(c)(3) fully set up. I mean, this was just an idea. And the fact that everyone was so supportive to be a part of it from more than the beginning is just, I think it says a lot about how much of a need there is for it. And I think it shows a lot about how much people want to help, like even these huge companies. They've been so supportive. And from there, we just keep growing with these ideas that makes a big difference, I think, to all of us.
I think that's so incredible. I think it's amazing too, just how much it gently normalizes cancer, which I think is what we're all screaming for. And especially as these reports come out of how much younger cancer is happening and what our age groups are looking like, we just want to feel normal. And I think this is such a gentle way to like just make it an easier conversation than it has been in the past. So I think that's really amazing. I think everyone listening can probably hear by now that you are an incredibly positive and optimistic and person and just a rock star. And I loved that your Instagram bio said you are prioritizing living, not just staying alive while having terminal cancer. I would love to know a little bit about what that looks like for you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sure you can relate to a lot of this, but for me, and I even have changed the way I've said things, like as you experience, everyone relates differently to different terms. I'm sure we can relate in the cancer community. Like, I don't relate to survivor because I haven't survived, right? So thriver is a term for me. I'm not offended by survivor, but I think everyone, has their own niche of what makes them feel comfortable. So going through cancer initially, and a lot of this, I would say it's for when you're in treatment, and then I, think about that. And it's like, well, I'm in treatment for the rest of my life. So, and someone, even if they're not, once you've had cancer, I think a lot of us can relate that that's a part of you forever. So I've really switched it to, saying more the narrative of living with cancer. Because I think no matter what, whether you have lifelong cancer or not, we all live with it forever. And there was a point in my treatment, where I was always consistently positive. And up until, so it was last December, I switched treatment. But before that, I had 6 months where I was on Enhertu. It was a clinical trial that combined Enhertu and tucatinib. And it was because I had a recurrence in my breast and in my brain. And it worked amazing at getting rid of the tumors in my brain. Like I didn't need to have surgery or anything like that. I didn't know that was the thing. I thought you get cancer in your brain, like that's it. It was unbelievable how it worked. Within a couple months, my brain tumors had shrunken like 80%, and they've been stable since. But it destroyed me. I have never felt that sick, that down. I mean, I couldn't get out of bed without throwing up for 2 weeks every 3 weeks. I couldn't take my daughter to school. I couldn't make plans, and I truly felt like I was not living. And, I expressed that, of course, to my doctors, and I held on for a while to the point where, and because I was in the clinical trial, we couldn't lower the dose of Enhertu like we maybe normally could have. And it's such a roll of the dice, right? Like, do I make this decision to stop a treatment that's working or lower? It was a lot. So my doctor finally said to me, she's like, it's getting rid of the tumors, so it's working there, but you're not living. So it's only working halfway. And I was really grateful that she agreed with that mindset. And so I stuck it out for 6 months, and then I made the choice to switch off of it. And, again, I'm sure you can relate to this, that I feel like with the amount of treatments we have for metastatic breast cancer, it's kind of like you're a cat with 8 lives, or, whatever amount of treatments there are. And I gave up one of those early, and that was scary. But as a family, when I talked about my husband, it's like, I can't live this way. I don't want to live this way. So I switched last year instead to Xeloda, Herceptin, and tucatinib. And I've been, stable ever since. It's been over a year now, and I still get side effects and other things, but relatively speaking, I'm very comfortable. And I hope it works a lot longer, but I know it could have not worked the same, and everyone's different, but I'm just so grateful I chose to prioritize living. Because I think people without cancer would look at it on the outside, and some did, like even some of my family was like, but Elissa, like this is working. Like, do you want to take that risk? What if the next one doesn't work? Like you had tumors in your brain. And at the end of the day, like how we live our life matters. Like we're humans. And I think sometimes we dehumanize cancer patients. And I can see it even on the outside. Like when my mother-in-law was in treatment and all that, like you associate success in cancer with staying alive. And now that we have these cancers that hopefully we can live with for a really long time, it has to be about more than that, or else it's just not fair. Like that's not a life we should have to live. And that's why I very much support and hope that we cure all types of cancers. But if I spend every day hoping that we cure metastatic breast cancer, I'm going to be really disappointed for a long time. And I don't need to feel like a failure every day that it's not cured. So to me, and I know Mediviver, their thing is making metastatic breast cancer a chronic illness instead of a terminal one. And if we can live a full life or a long life pretty comfortable and we never cure it, I'm okay with that. Like that's a huge success. So I think redefining what that looks like and what we care about really matters. And that's why our mission is all about creating this community around giving and receiving to help cancer thrivers and their supporters live their best lives. Because while the much smarter people than me are trying to cure cancer and come out with new treatments, we can help people today. Like we can send people socks today. We can help people, give them ideas that are little tips and tricks that will make this experience better or just make them feel not alone. So I'm all about the immediate need as an and. It's not a or thing. We don't have to cure it or help people be comfortable. Like we can do it all simultaneously.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliantly said. If somebody's listening, supporter, patient, thriver, they're wanting to set up a register, how does that work? Can you walk us through the steps on how someone can actually go about setting one up?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to wegotthis.org, right on the homepage at the top, you can start a registry or find a registry. If you want videos to walk you through it, if you just scroll to the bottom of the homepage, it'll walk you through both scenarios. There's 2 separate videos. But if you're going to start one, you just start, you put in your information. It's really easy and walks you through how you can pull in from whatever you'd want to register for. If you've ever used a registry, it's very similar, like Babylist or Zola or, the Knot, things like that. If you want to find a registry, if you click on that, you just type in the person's name. You can also have us randomly find registries for you. So if someone just feels like going and supporting someone or seeing some other stories, you can hit find a registry. Every time it's randomly generated. So it's
Wow.
designed to never favor. Like if it were in alphabetical order, someone's name would always pop to the top. So it's always randomized, which is neat. And in the big picture, I'd love to use it towards like a lot of ways to just randomly give to people, because I think of like if you were gonna donate to a cause, right? Say you donated $25. It would be cool to know that you donated like 3 pairs of socks or something like specific to what they actually wanted. So it's a lot around that too. But setting it up super easy. If you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to us, info@wegotthis.org. But our feedback has been really positive in terms of the user experience. I'd say the biggest thing that I want to catch up on, and if you guys or anyone listening wants to contribute to this, is I'd love to get together more thrivers and people to share, what products and services and things help them most. The questions we've gotten the most of is people starting their registry and then not knowing what they need. Because if they start, depending on where in the process they're at, I didn't know to get ice pack socks to prevent neuropathy until I showed up and my first chemo treatment, I like had my feet in a bucket of ice. And I was like, I think there's a more comfortable way. So the nurse showed me on Amazon what I could order.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing now, I think, is creating it's really easy. Just wegotthis.org, start a registry. But if you have questions or want more feedback on what to register for, definitely reach out and follow us at wegotthis.org on Instagram. We do a lot of videos and giveaways from our partners too.
Very cool. We have one final question for you. Through your experience, what does great support look like to you?
I think that great support is catering it to what the patient, thriver, survivor needs. I think that they don't always know what they need, and we can help them find that. And then if they're afraid to ask for help or don't know what to ask for, just doing things, whether it's the right thing or not. I've never had anyone do something for me that I felt was wrong. People reaching out and wanting to help is great. I think reaching out open-ended is hard. Don't make it so that they have to ask. Say you're either doing something or figure out, what it is that would be most helpful, catered to what they need. Because what I need, and I'm so open about sharing my story and people being a part of that, and that's just me. But a lot of people aren't, and they might be much different in what they're comfortable with. So really finding value in the patient and the person, and remembering again, like, we're humans. Just because we got cancer, like, it doesn't change who we are or how we are as people. So really figuring out the way that you can really help make the impact that will make a difference on their specific life.
Totally. Chiara, you want to bring us home?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Support Report with Be Present. I am Chiara, joined by my co-host Justin Peters, and we'll catch you on the next episode.